Now, the next question is, how do I design this app in a way that is appealing to them? Now, I mentioned issues about earlier on about like designing a website that has a lot of bug and everything, and it's so difficult to use. Probably you wanted to read a blog post or get some vital information, but ads are popping everywhere and here and there, and you can't even navigate through the website. There's no back button, you can't even find the home button, you can't even scroll down. Imagine that kind of product. Just imagine that kind of experience. It's very frustrating. Kind of thing that can make you go and never open that website again. So now, how do I build this app in the way that students enjoy using it? Now I know that they have this problem, and this my app can solve it. Now, how do I build it in a way that they will enjoy using it? They would like to keep using it. Don't experience any friction. In program management, we call it friction. That would probably make them not want to use the app again. Might be, for instance, you visited that website, that buggy website, because you want to read a blog post. It holds basically it holds the information that you need. But despite being able to satisfy your need, the experience, user experience of that website is not it's not appealing at all. It's not up to standard. In fact, it's not satisfactory. So rather than helping you satisfy that your need easily, it's instead frustrating you. So you want to build your product in a way that it gives the right experience to your users. They enjoy using it, they are satisfied with it, they are not having difficulty trying to navigate, they're not asking where's the back button. Oh, okay, where do I press now that I need to search the houses? Okay. How do I see pictures about the houses? They are not there, though they are not experiencing such difficulties using your product, which in this case is a mobile app, your app. So this year you have to work with designers. Typically, what I would do as a product manager in this case is that I would write what we call use cases. I will, along as you progress in course, you would understand what these things mean. Now, the use case will describe the user experience, how the user is to feel, how what the user is to experience when using the product. Let me give a good example for this mobile app. The first thing the user should see when they open the app is a login page, because they need privacy, they need some form of security. And that person should not just log into their account, because they might actually make payments on that on the app. Let's say they find an apartment they love and they start chatting with of course, you have a chat feature. They start chatting with the owner or the caretaker to be able to bargain price. And let's say they have to make payments on the app. You would want you want privacy on that. You don't want people going there and seeing your chat. You don't want your friend to just pick up your phone, open the app and see the chats you had with your prospective caretaker, or know that, oh, you're actually about to secure a house. So you want some form of privacy. So the first experience there will be that there will be a login process. There will be an authentication process. That's the first experience. So once you're opening the app, you're going to see a login screen. You type in your password. Now I'm assuming that you've created your account already. You type in your password, your safe key, and gain access. Nobody else knows that apart from you. So nobody else can access what you access on our platform apart from you, as long as you don't have your password. Yeah, second of all, what people are coming there is to see houses, right? So the first thing they should be seeing after logging in are pictures of houses. So that's when we now come the home screen. They should see houses there. So in my use case, I'm giving use case is like telling a story of what the user should experience while navigating through this product. So if I'm working with a designer, I'm giving the designer that use case. Sometimes we even go ahead as designing what we call a prototype. Like we just show him, let's say we have specific functions that we want to look a certain way and behave a certain way to help the user experience. Like yesterday, a product I'm managing, we had an issue, which I won't still solving. I told you I just finished a call with my developers before coming to this call. Like some users complained that because it's a logistic app. They try to search, let's say, okay, they want to send a package from their address to another location, right? So they'll need to provide their own address and the address of what we call the drop-off point, where the rider or the delivery driver is going to go and drop the package, who's going to give it to. So they're having issue in typing out an accurate address, because address can be very, very nuanced. In fact, two people can be living in the same street and give different address description for where they live. You might say you live fifth house adjacent to let's use a landmark. Let's say there's a church there adjacent to Living Fire Church on Obasui Street and off Saple Road. And somebody else will want to describe his own address, living on that same street too. He will not use that landmark. Can you just say you can pick on that landmark? In fact, I can even go very, very he can become too detailed and say the pink house in Obasui close, something like that. So you can see addresses can be nuanced. So we can't work with such very nuanced address. We need something that we can be able to find on a map that our riders will understand. So we have to now manage a small balance between getting the address of the user and showing a rider something that they can easily find. And that's where the problem came in. So to be able to manage those two requirements, we have to use a software. Developers have to use a software. They use Google Map. Don't worry, as you progress in the course, you will learn what we call APIs and stuff like that. You don't write codes. Yes, you don't write codes. But as you begin to practice, you begin to familiarize with certain tech terms or ideas that gives you an edge as a product manager. So because you are interacting with engineers, you're interacting with designers, sometimes you have to be able to like speak their language. So it doesn't mean you need to know exactly how they do what they're doing. It's more like this: you give them a goal, do this, do this, do this. It's up to them to know how to achieve that goal. Now I give them a requirement now, which is what they should be able to manage the nuance between a customer giving a very detailed address that it can be difficult for a rider to find, and giving a rider a very simplified address that they can see on a map, but it's accurately the address of the customer. So it's up to my engineers now to find a solution to satisfy that requirement I give to them. And for the product we built, they found a solution. They use Google Maps and all that. But the problem is that sometimes trying to use that solution they built, which is basically custom. What they do is that when the customer starts typing out his address, he starts searching for that address on Google Map. Once he finds a match, it uses that match on Google Map instead of what the customer typed there, and that's where we started having issues. So instead of that, we built a feature. Okay, rather than just approximating where the customer lives, how about we let the customer show us on the map where it is? So if the customer does not see an exact match on the search result where the address is, they have a button where they could press on the screen and it shows them the map, the Google map, and they can easily just move. And there's an icon there that shows them their current position on the map. They can easily just move that icon to where they are. At least you can be able to identify your street and probably your house on the map. So that's what we did. But some persons could not even use that feature, right? Because once they start typing, that button will disappear. Are you seeing a problem already in the user experience? So it started leading to frustration for some users and they started complaining. Are you with me? So you have to work with designers to create the right user experience. And that is what, like, I'm giving this example because I had to do this recently. What I have to recommend to the designers and the developers is that button shouldn't leave the screen, even if a user starts typing. They give a lot of excuses, saying this one is called this, and I said, no, I'm the program manager, and it's obvious that this thing is affecting the user experience, our customers' experience on the app. What will work best for them is they should still be able to see that option so that once they are finding issue, they are not finding the right match while searching. They can just easily tap that button and, okay, I beg, since I can't find it, let me just show them the location on the map. And it picks the exact address. So if you move the icon to where exactly you are on the map, or where you want to send the product to, the package to rather, it picks the exact address, and that's how we've been solving that problem. So working with designers to create the right user experience, prioritize feature based on what matters most. Yes. Now there are a lot of ideas that um in building this app. You can say, okay, let's show them pictures of the house. That's one, that's a feature. They can see visitors or users on their can to see pictures of the houses they want to rent. And say, okay, let's put a search bar also so that in case they want house in a particular area. Let me pick the University of Benin now. There are a lot of areas around the University of Benin. There's Ekosoji, there's Market Road, there's Selu, there's Obliku. So rather than just scrolling endlessly through pictures, let's put a search bar so that they can just type Oluku and it will show them only pictures of houses from Oluku, right? You can also say, okay, let's how about we allow them upload pictures themselves, whereby these students can also become like house agents. We find a house that is vacant, that is available, and it's not on our system. And they can easily like take pictures and upload those pictures so that other people can see, right? Let's say someone says, okay, no, we want our app to be so unique and immersive. How about we put 3D models of the house so that the user, while on the app, can like see a 3D reconstruction of the house. It will not be as if they are inside the house. Rather than just swiping static pictures. Have you interacted with a 3D photo before or 3D model? Elizabeth, you can unmute to answer. Elizabeth, are you there? All right. I say you can unmute to answer. Have you interacted with a maybe 3D model or 3D picture before? Like, I just need to be sure that you understand what I'm describing.
Yes, a picture.
All right, so you can paint a picture in a mental picture of what I'm saying. So let's say we want that on our app also. Like you should to like just be as if they are inside. So those are amazing features, but we can't build all of them now. Explaining prioritizing feature based on what matters most. We can't build all of them now. Reason is that it will take a lot of time. And developers, they are not magicians. I can tell you for free, they are not magicians. Even a wizard in tech, even in this days of AI, whereby some people can just generate codes online, they are not magicians. You might have a very amazing idea in mind, and like, yeah, this thing can work. Doesn't mean your developer can get it working as soon as possible. Some certain features to build them takes a lot of is very complex, very complex. Some certain features. And like as a program manager, I can even tell you that this 3D model I'm describing is a complex feature to build. So if I'm working on this project, I'll prioritize the features they should build. Since we want to get the product out there as fast as possible. Reason be that someone else can see this idea and start building it, right? We don't want someone else to steal our idea or steal our potential user. Someone else can, because ideas are open to everybody. Nobody has a monopoly of an idea. Because you saw an idea, you saw a solution that could exist, doesn't mean that God gave it to you specially. I know we like to feel special or think something like that, but you'll be shocked to find out that whatever idea you have, even if it's not even a product, in any other thing in life, if you don't act fast on it, you'll be shocked to find out that more than 100 people have that same idea you have. And the reason why it's not yet existing is the same reason why you have not built it. Probably procrastination, laziness, or you're waiting for the right time or right resources, or you don't have the resources to do that thing. So we want to make sure that we put our solution there fast as possible. We've discovered this opportunity that, yeah, these people have this problem. And if we can solve it for them, they may even be willing to pay to use it. We can even start collecting fee from landlords. When our app now becomes famous, everybody's using it, we can start collecting fee from landlords. Like, okay, if you want to list your property now on our platform, you have to pay some certain amount. Do you know Zillow? I don't know if you know, it's a foreign startup. It's not a startup, it's a company. But they have a website, they have a app, and they are doing exactly this thing I'm saying. Like in first world countries, you don't need to start looking for an agent to now walk around to now look. Let's say you're looking for a house, any form of accommodation. Next thing you're asking where's an agent, or you start trekking around, look for where there's vacancy. You can just visit Zillow. Zillow has a lot of vacant properties listed there, and it's so popular that right now home property owners can pay a fee to list their property there, and they are making money. So you have already seen this opportunity that if you solve this problem, if you create a solution, you can even make money out of it. So you would want to put your product there out fast as possible. So no, someone else doesn't seize that opportunity before you. Probably even some of the people you are interviewing, you don't know you are giving your complete idea, but you can't avoid that. So this leads to prioritization. And also, because of the limited resources, your developers are not magicians, they can't build everything. You have to focus on what can we build now that will get this thing working. We don't need to wait till when we have everything perfect or have all the developers we need to build it, or we have all the money we need to build it, or have all the time to build it. What can we build now? What that will be a working product. In product management, we call that thing an MVP. You will learn about that more in details along the course. This is just an introduction. So I'll have to prioritize. In a real situation, I listed out some features, right? First thing I'll remove out of there is that 3D view. We are not building that now. Users, they are not asking, their problem is not, oh, we don't have a 3D view. No, their problem is we can't find affordable houses near campus. That is their problem. So how I solve it is up to me. 3D is good, but it's just an addition, a luxury to improve the user experience. Remember, even as much as we want to have a good user experience, the number one goal is to first solve this problem. So the user experience should be about solving that problem. Anyhow, we wish to do that. So something that we can easily build now and still solve this problem is providing pictures. Rather than building something complex like 3D models, we can just build a mobile app that shows them pictures of these places, of these vacant houses. That's enough. 10 to 5 pictures. They see the front view, the back view, inside of the building, the kitchen, the toilet, and they see all that gives them all the information they need. And the next vital information they need is contact to whosoever owns that property. So those are the things we prioritize. You should be able to see pictures, you should be able to get those contacts, you should probably even be able to chat on the platform. Let me say, if I evaluate the skill of my developer, probably is just a junior developer, because at the end of this course, we usually have a mega project whereby different people from different tracks come together from a team and you build a product. So, and those your colleagues learning software, front end and back end now, by the time they finish this course, they are just beginners. So they have basic knowledge, they have basic skills, but there's still a long way for them to go as they continue to practice to improve their skill. So there are certain things they may not be able to do for you. For instance, they might not be able to do a chat feature. Not they can't do it, but it will take them much time. And for instance, let me give you a very good example of a real life constraint. That's your final project. We're going to give you a time period whereby you are going to develop that product. And your teammates can be 2 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. So you see, you don't have all the time. So you can't ask a developer that just learned. Probably he doesn't know how to build a chat, because it's not those, like I said, it's very good if I'm not with this now. Like developers, they are not magicians. Ideas are very easy to get, but to start building them takes a lot of time and effort. So let's say without his level of expertise, he needs more time to research, learn, and make errors and mistakes and finally get it right and build a chat feature for you, whereby the user can come there and chat directly on the app with the landlord or the caretaker. So if I see the skill level of my developer and say that, okay, it's not up to that expertise yet, I say, okay, let him just build something that will work now while he spends more time building out that chat feature. So when that one is ready, we will deploy that one. We'll learn more about that. So by the time we see the product life cycle, so I will say, okay, just focus on putting the number there so that they can easily just pick up the number and dial it by themselves. They don't need to chat. They can even put the number on WhatsApp and chat with the person on WhatsApp. All right. Now, coordinate with developers to build the app. I think I've already even explained this one already indirectly, talking about what to build, right? I said if my developer expertise level is in a certain way, I'll tell you, okay, focus on building um, an image display on the app. Focus on also displaying the contact details of the owner of the property. Then, on the long term, work on building a chat feature for me. So you can see how I'm already guiding the product development. In real life scenario, I will not just be telling them do this, do this, do that. Everything will be in a document. In a document. We'll talk more about that soon. If you look at the course outline, in a document, because that's how I actually communicate with my developers. After communicating and getting okay, this is what I want to do. The next thing I'm reading to them is a document containing all those functional requirements. But you not have that conversation where we have to go back and forth. But once they see the document, they already know what I've told them to prioritize and they start working on it. So you coordinate with developers to build the app. Then two, you measure results. This is a very important part. Now, this is where product management now move into the business part. Remember I showed you this Venn diagram, right? And even here, it says in the middle of this intersection of user experience or customer experience and technology and business lies product management, right? Now, let's go back to that scenario that we're analyzing. Product manager in action. Now, point one has to do with user experience. Point one has to do with user experience. Point two has to do with, this one is within an intersection of user experience and tech. Because a designer, you work with designers to design the user experience, and he also use certain tools to actually design those interfaces for you. So if I'm saying there must be a login screen, I've already, okay, I mentioned about giving a use case to my developers. If I said, okay, once a user opens our app, first thing you see is a login screen. They put in their details, they get access to it. The next thing you see is a home screen where they will see those images of the houses, right? So I've already described the user experience, the user flow. And I explained that with the designer. The next thing is going to do is use tools to design how that login page will actually look like. And I'm going to even evaluate his work to ensure that, for instance, he doesn't go and put the place where he's supposed to type in the password. He doesn't go and put it at the top of the screen. When we know most of us that are using mobile phones, our hands is usually at the bottom. There's an extent your thumb can reach. So you appreciate the app more that has the text feed where you need to type in your password that's closer to the bottom, where you can see just tap on it and use one hand and tap on your keyboard. Imagine it's at the very top of the screen. You now have to stretch all the way there. That's stress. I don't want to stress my users. It will be decreasing the quality of our user experience. So I'll still evaluate his work to ensure that okay, this thing actually meets the kind of standard of user experience that I want to give to my users. So interviewing students has to do with the user experience part. You have to understand your customers. Interviewing students working with your designer does with the user experience part. You have to understand your customers and work with designers to create the right user experience for them. Now, prioritizing feature based on what matters most and coordinating with developers to build the app now has to do with the tech aspect. The tech aspect. Now you've gotten your user experience right. You've understood your customer, what they want and what you want to build for them, how to satisfy their need. Now to now ask, okay, how are we going to go about building this? What kind of product are we going to build? In this case, we already even know it's an app. Some scenarios you may not know. We just know one. We just have a problem statement, and we'll analyze those scenarios as we go. We'll not get to know things like user persona, user stories. Those are how we develop products in real life scenario. Now, in this case, we already know because an example is an app. So, what kind of tech product are we building? Is it an app? Is it a website? In this case, is an app. So, what features are we going to prioritize? I listed them out since we prioritize, and the reason why we will not prioritize some. According to developers to build the app. Now it's up to them to now determine the technology they will use. Okay, since it's an app, should we use what kind of technology are we going to use? There are two types of users, mobile app users. There are people with the iOS, the iPhone users, and there are people with the Android users. So are we building for only Android users? Are we building for iOS users? Do our users use Android? Do they use iOS? Okay, if they do, that means we need to build both. Can we build both? Can we build both a Android app and a iOS app? Hope you know that's what actually okay. Very well. Most okay. Let me start by asking. It's not a personal question, just to understand, help you understand this scenario better. So, what operating system do you use, like in terms of your mobile phone, Elizabeth?
iOS.
iOS. All right. Now, you are aware that every single app you're able to download on iOS, you also download it on Android, right? Not all, but most of
Yes.
it. All right. Now, the magic behind that, those things don't build themselves. Somebody intentionally, painstakingly built an app for iOS, then I went ahead and built another one for Android. So the question was asking, which technology are we going to use? Developers, naturally, Apple, they have their own programming language they used to use. They call it Swift. It's not very important, but they call it Swift. Same with Android, they have their own, they call it. I'm not saying you need to know these names. You don't need to know them. I just know them because I'm practicing product management. I interact with developers and I hear from them. But from beginning, you don't actually need to know what specific programming language. That's not naturally that's not the business of a program manager. So and they build those two. Then if you now say, okay, I only have one developer that is good. I cannot stress him to now build one for Android, one for iOS. It will take 1 year to finish it. It will take 1 year to finish it. And I want to put this thing out there in the market before somebody first goes before me and build their own. I've seen an opportunity. So when I say, okay, so what technology, what are we going to do? What technology are we going to use? Then the developer research and find out, okay, I don't need to actually need to even build one separate one for iOS and so on. Yeah, I can use a technology called Flutter and I will just write one code and the technology would translate that code to iOS, translate that code to Android. So I'll use one stone to kill two birds. See where decision making already come in terms of tech. So with that feedback or that insight from the developer, can I say, okay, if that's possible, we can actually go ahead and build the two apps. If it says, let's say the developer I'm working with doesn't even know how to use that Flutter, let's say, he knows how to use Android, that means we end up just being an Android app. I'll now find out, okay, are more of our users Android or iOS users? If more of our users are iOS users, I will not go ahead and build an Android app. Who will use it? So rather, I want to look for somebody that can build in iOS to build it. So you can see how as a product manager, I'm already deciding, managing the tech aspects of it. But I'm not coding. I'm not writing code. It's just ideas, thinking, critical problem solving skills, problem solving thinking. I understand my users. I understand the goal we want to achieve. Then I begin to put my mind to it, my problem solving thing, my skill, problem management skill. I need to find a solution. If I leave developers alone and just give them solution, they will just go and do whatever they want. Probably the developer, what he knows how to do is build Android app. He will go and build me an Android app. That's what will happen. So, but because I'm a product manager there, I understand the users, understand that okay, more of them use iOS. I'll find an iOS user. Let's say more of them use Android. I'll find someone that can build an Android. Or let's say I have a developer that can even build both using Flutter. Then we'll build both. I'll not say, okay, we can build both of the apps since the developer can use that Flutter stuff. You get me? So that this point one, point three, and point four is the tech aspect. Now, this point five, this is what I want to drive to, is now the business aspect. If you look here, you mentioned business, right? The last circle. I have to ensure that even after doing all these things, it has to satisfy a business goal. Because the goal of building these things is not because we want to be Mark Zuckerberg. It's not that it's treating us to build something. Like we're not jobless. That will just be the app for people to just file affordable because we're a charity. Yeah, we love solving problems. But this thing should be able to pay our bills. This thing should be able to give me money. My developer will not work for free now. Really? He has bills to pay. He has bills to pay. He has subscriptions to make. Let's say he's even married. He has a family that he needs to feed. Ah. Then let's say, okay, Me, as a product manager, I have personal ambitions. I want to drive Ferrari. So stuff like that. So the end goal, the business aspect is that this solution we're building is able to give us money. So I have to now ensure, okay, this is where I'm not going to measure the results that are coming out. That's why it's very important to understand your users before you start building to ensure that these things actually sellable. Somebody is willing to use this thing, because if somebody is willing to use it, they're very likely willing to also pay for it. Just like um, that's why those men that created telecommunication, most of them are in generational wealth today. We found a problem. Like back then, letters used to take like ages to those of our older people that use letters. In their time, it takes a lot of time for a letter to, let's say you're in Qatar, you're in Benin, you're trying to send letter to someone in Lagos, and it's getting there in 10 days. I'm like, how can we solve this problem? Let's say it's something urgent. You send a letter to someone in Lagos. Oh, um, your mother is sick here in Benin. Oh, you need to do something. And before the letter gets to him in 10 days' time, the mother is already dead because he couldn't intervene. But someone saw that problem and said, how can I solve this problem? How can messages get to people faster? And invented telecommunication. Today, you can't even do without telecommunication. We buy data like water. Always buy, even the poorest of poorest, we buy airtime. That's how relevant it is to us in everyday life. It's solving a need for us. It's satisfying a need for us. It's solving a problem. And we're willing to use it. And we're willing to pay for it. So I need to measure the results. Are people even using this thing? That's why I want to ask, is usage growing? Are more students finding houses? Now, I need to know. It's one thing, because in my experience as a product manager, let's say you build a website, it's one thing to have visitors. And it's another thing for them to actually use that your website to do what you need it for. So people can be downloading the app and just be having a look at it. But are they actually using it to find houses? Is this solving their need? Is it solving their problem? And if it is, okay, we're having like steady usage, like people are like finding houses on it. Let's say, okay, 10 to 15 to 20, there's always a beginning stage for everything. I really use them to find houses. And okay, is it growing? Because 10 to 15 people using it, sorry, excuse me, except especially when it's a kind of product where you need a lot of people to use it to actually like make money out of it. Like banks now, for instance, those your OPay, okay, let me not use banks, let me use mobile money app. OPay is different from your traditional bank. Let's say your mobile money apps like OPay, Money Points. Most times what they charge from you is just like 10 naira, 5 naira, 3 naira for transaction fee. Imagine they had just 10 users using OPay. Is that how they will feed their developer? Is that they will pay their developer? Is that how the CEO will drive um, his next car? Is that how he will upgrade to Range Rover 2026? By collecting 10 naira from 10 people. So for a product like that, they'll be more concerned about the growth, the number of users. They may start small because everything has a beginning time, but it should grow eventually. All these are business goals. Is it meeting that business target? Are they more users? Are they even using it in the first place? Those are the kind of questions. As a program manager, it's my responsibility to measure these results. Because in a type of organization you work with, like where I work, at least I mean, I'm surprised the CEO have not met. The CEO marketing, they've not sent a message now. Those days is very crazy. They're always sending messages trying to know the updates. So the business owner, or let's say the CEO of the company, is more concerned about the business aspects. That's why I'm program manager to manage every other aspect. We're more concerned about, is this product satisfying our business goals? Is it bringing us the money we want? Yeah. So there's when, as a program manager, to find out whether it's actually satisfying business goals, I know that growth, like the number of users on the platform is equivalent to the amount of money we get out of it, right? So I'll be more concerned of how many users are on this platform, how many people are actually using it. Basically, I'm measuring the results of the product. All right. Now, There are different types of product managers. There are different types of product managers, and that's why product management is very beautiful. And there are areas, it gives you the opportunity to specialize in certain areas and be a professional in that area. We have, let me just brief through it before I come back to explain. We have a technical product manager, we have a growth product manager, and we have a UI UX product manager. Now, in as much that product management encompasses these three areas, it's very possible that the product manager may specialize in one. So you're not really specialized per se, like he abandoned the rest and just focus on one. Then that doesn't make a product manager now. If you say you want to focus on just UI UX, that means he's a designer now. Why not just go and learn graphic design or UI UX? But more like he has kind of more expertise in one area. He build more strength in one area. It's very possible. That level of segmentation is what leads to the types of product manager. Number one on our list here is a technical product manager. Naturally speaking, as product manager, you don't need to know how to code. Like I said, you don't need to now know it's Python we're going to use or it's Flutter. That's why I was mentioning those things. No, typically you don't really need to know those things. The product manager. Or a technical product manager is more like a developer, someone that has experience in being a software engineer, now became a product manager. You see, he already has knowledge about software, writing codes. So we understand all those engineering terms more. Backend, front end, the language, the APIs, those things. We understand them very well. So when he's talking with developers, he's talking to them in that depth. Developer won't say something, say, let me say he told them, say, okay, build this feature. Let's say we want our users should be able to, let's say I own something like Jumia now. Let's say I own something like Jumia, the product manager for Jumia. And I said, I tell developers, excuse me. So I tell developers that I want users to be able to borrow money and pay on Jumia. They don't need to have money because on Jumia currently you have to use the checkout, you pay with your card or transfer. I say I want them to be able to borrow. They can buy now and pay later. And the developers start telling me, that's not possible. You can't really do that. As a technical product manager, so I already understand how the software architecture works. I'm like, okay, that's actually possible. You can get an API from Okash or what loan pass. Let's pick a loan platform with more brand credibility. Let's say Branch. I don't know if you've heard of them. Branch, there's Carbon. Carbon also, they focus is a fintech app focused on giving loans. We can integrate these platforms. We can get an API from them. So at checkout, when the user is about to pay, you see an option, pay with Carbon. That's what the user will see on his end. But on the software side, I've done the necessary thing to be done. So a technical product manager knows how this thing is built and can guide engineers more closely. He's focused on, he said, works closely with engineers on complex back-end heavy products, needs to understand APIs, system design. This system design is not your neural graphic design. It's more like understanding how they build the back end of the product. Because how would I explain this to you? I'm not a technical product. I'm not focused on technical part, although I have understanding some parts. But for now, I'm in this area. And this is the best place to actually start from as a beginner. So I'm going to be introducing the course, how to like begin your career in this aspect. It's much friendly compared to here. Yeah, it's more ideal for somebody that already had, let's say, he was already a developer, probably was a software, a front-end developer, an engineer, a software engineer, basically. Then he now pivoted into product management. For someone that's beginning from the start, can start from here. For someone that probably already have, probably they were into marketing already, they understand those things, they can also focus on here. But for introductory purpose or for beginner purpose, this is the best place to start a career in product management. We'll get there. Now, I say needs to understand system design is not like designing things on Figma or graphic design. It's more like when they are this software you are using, for instance, as I'm clicking on these things now, I'm clicking and they are working, right? It's changing the screen. There's something we call back end. What you are seeing here is what we call front end, the beautiful part and all that. But behind this thing, there's something running on your computer. That's your mobile phone, your PC. That's what we call the back end part. Like there are codes. There's a system, or like how would I explain this in a way that this is easily related? I don't want to use technical terms. I want to use very, very simple terms. All right. Is there's a logic. Let me use that word, logic. Ideally, we call it algorithm, but there's a logic. Like it's more like building a house, more like arranging a house in terms of software. Those backend engineers, what they do, they call it what they do. They call it like system design. Before they start writing codes, they have to like tell like how would this system operate. Okay, there will be a part that would okay, let me pick a feature and just break it down. So just give you a brief understanding about it. Uh, let's see that checkout feature now. That checkout feature. If you want to build backend for that, there are various aspects involved in that checkout. There's payment, there's a cart, what we call the cart, where you've listed all the products that you picked on Juma you like and you want to pay. You want to pay for. Then there's the receipt. There's a part that prints out the receipt for you after you complete payment. On the back end, each of those things I mentioned, they are like blocks that need to work together, need to interact with each other together. So if a developer wants to start building that checkout system, you say, okay, there are 3 blocks that need to be here. Remember I said you can liken it like building a house. So the first thing first, you can say, okay, let me focus on building that list that contains the things that you want to buy. It's not as simple as just seeing it and you see it in the front end, just wow, just click it. He writes codes that actually tell the system, okay, once the user do this, add it to here. Once the user does this, add it to here. He does that part. It goes to the next time. So that ability to be able to like think of those where and what to be involved and where to start. That's basically that system design. So it's not like graphic design. The system design architecture. Now, example, managing infrastructure behind the mobile banking app. Good thing the example I've used just now was about checkout, still related to finance or Jumia, right? So mobile banking app, paying on Jumia, they are both fintech, they are finance related. So let me skip that. So the growth program manager focuses on metrics like user acquisition, retention, conversion, runs experiments to drive growth, optimizing the sign-up flow to reduce drop-off. Now, like I said, because this program manager focus more on the business side, is more concerned about those questions that the business owner will ask, like, is this thing bringing money? Are we having more users? So he has to ask specific questions that translate to the satisfaction of those goals. If we need more money in the system, we need more users, right? More customers. So if you start checking this, like, okay, are we gaining user acquisition? Which is, are we gaining more users? User retention, are they staying? Are they staying? And this has to focus on your users. If your user experience is good, people will want to use your product again and again. Imagine you go to a store to buy something and the seller doesn't have character. It's like, we don't get them. It just looks, just evaluates you based on how you look and determine whether to attend to you or not, or start speaking very rudely. You wouldn't want to come there again. Someone that like treated you with such condescendence, you wouldn't want to come there again. So basically, that business owner have lost a customer. They didn't retain you. So retention, are you retaining your users? Maybe they are coming, they use it, they'll use it and go. Eh? Or conversion. Are you turning visitors to permanent users? Let's say you have a free trial. This one is very common, free trial. Um, have you ever used an app whereby there's a free trial? Let's start from there. Like you're going to the app has a paywall, like it requires you to pay to use it, but they give you a period whereby you can use it for free.
Yes.